Hello everybody, welcome back to Easy Weeknight Cooking with Heart's Desire Spice Blends. And tonight we have a super simple recipe for Slawsome Pot Roast. Now tonight I'm going to be using a pork roast for this, and trust me, this really does make it taste a lot like your classic, say, Marie Callender's kind of pot roast. I was blown away, seriously blown away. I came up with this just by playing around and saying, oh, hey, what works, right? So what we are going to need tonight is 2 to 5 pound roast, any kind. You can do pork, you can do beef. I imagine it might even work well with turkey, but that might need some tweaking. However, go ahead and use what you got. 1 tablespoon of our Slawsome Veggies per pound of roast, 1 8-ounce package of mushrooms. I prefer to get the sliced ones, it's just a lot easier. And by the way, this recipe is fantastic for one of those just rushed days where you know you need dinner in a hurry when you get home from work. So 1/2 cup of red wine. Now a note on the wine, I tend to like to use a dry red wine or a more savory red wine for this one because you've got a lot of savory stuff going on. So Cabernet Sauvignon is something that I will use in this. Merlot, you could use it, adds a little bit more sweetness, but I wanted to stay towards more of the savory taste. 1 medium onion and 2 medium to large carrots for this recipe, and of course, salt to taste. How we're going to put this together is, like I said, so simple. What you see behind me here is an Instant Pot that I've had on slow cook all day, and crock pots are absolutely welcome. You can put this in an Instant Pot and put it on pressure cook if you don't have time to put everything in there in the morning. But go ahead and get your crock pot base, whatever you're going to use. And first thing you're going to do, throw in your 1/2 cup of red wine. Now, if you're using these itty bitty little things like I do, that's about that much. So a little over half the bottle. This is, will it even tell me how much is in the bottle? No. So I expect there's about 3/4 cup in one of these. 1/2 cup of that goes right in the base. Next thing you're going to do, 1 chopped onion. Medium onion. I like to chop these relatively large because they're going to be breaking down quite a bit in the bottom of your crock pot. I still want chunks left over when I'm done. Next thing you're going to do is put this aside and break out your roast. Now you're going to bring out about 1 tablespoon of Slawsome Veggies per pound of roast that you have. And this worked really well because you're going to want to make sure that this coats the roast really evenly and really well. And I like to put my spices in something like this. With your roast, go ahead and measure out your spices because you're going to get your hands dirty with this and you don't want to cross-contaminate your spices. So definitely put them in a separate bowl. And all over your roast, what you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle and pat your spices. Just cake them on there, definitely. You see how I've got a really thick mat here of those spices? That's what you want. Don't be shy here. You're also gonna get them on all the nooks and crannies. That is going to be one flavorful roast. All over all sides. And you can press this on the counter or wherever you're spicing over to get all of these wonderful spices off the bottom and onto your roast. This recipe is for a 2 to 5 pound roast. If you've got a larger roast, you're just going to scale up the recipe. This is a great start for something huge when you're going to be feeding a crowd in a hurry. And if you know that you're going to be feeding a crowd, say after work tonight, and if you put something like this in the crock pot in the morning, you are gold. Doesn't that look beautiful? Seriously. Oh, bring back your crock pot container. We've gotten all of our just beautiful Slawsome veggies over that roast. And we've put the roast in the pot here. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to break out your mushrooms and your carrots, and we've loaded those up already. Now, why mushrooms? Mushrooms are a huge source of just fantastic flavor. They create a flavor profile called umami, which in vegetarian cooking, they really love to put into their dishes because a lot of your umami flavors come from things like meat stocks. And it's one of those things people like to substitute salt for because it kind of creates that salty flavor. But it's so much more than that. It's that kind of rich, beefy flavor is umami. Now, your mushrooms are going to do an excellent job of adding that to any roast, and that is huge. Next thing we added was carrots. Now, why carrots? That was 2 medium carrots and 8 ounces of mushrooms. The carrots, when I originally made this recipe, I did it without carrots. And I noticed that the whole recipe needed just this mild sweetness that you couldn't get anywhere else. You can absolutely load up the potatoes in here. They will absorb some of your flavor. Any other things that you want to add, I suggest you play. That's part of what we do in the kitchen, right? We play around and come up with fantastic food. Definitely make this recipe the way I've shown you first, and then add anything you like and see what it does to the recipe. Seriously, if you find that one thing or another just makes it off the charts good, you need to tell me. Seriously, I want to hear this. So at this point, we have our roast in there. I like to make sure that the top of the roast is showing. That way everything has a really great chance to meld the flavors. And your things like carrots and mushrooms can actually express their juices and pass their juices back and forth rather than sitting on the top and stay dry. And so this is ready for your crock pot. This is a fabulous meal for when you know you're gonna have a bunch of company over, or you know that you're gonna be really busy tonight, but you want a real meal when you get home from work. So seriously simple, seriously easy. Throw it in the crock pot all day. It falls apart, it's juicy, sweet, and just wonderful by the time you're done. Let's check out the Instant Pot and see what we got. Oh my gosh, yum. Would you look at that? Oh, yes. Would you look at that? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This was about a 2-pound roast. Do you see how easy it is to cut this stuff? It just falls right apart. I couldn't even cut all the way through it before it fell apart. And I need to take a taste. What do you guys say? You can taste just, it's that down-home pot roast taste that when I tasted it the first time was blown away. And it still does not disappoint a bit. That is a fantastically simple pot roast recipe that you can do with pork. This is pork. And it tastes like a gorgeous beef roast. So from our kitchen to yours, that is a Slawsome Pot Roast. You guys keep things tasty, and we will see you next week.